If your mind is racing tonight, if stress or anxiety is making it hard to fall asleep, if you need something to calm your nervous system and guide you into deep, restful sleep, you are in the right place. This is a guided sleep session for anxiety relief, stress reduction, and deep healing rest. Close your eyes if you haven't already. Let your body become heavy and warm. Let your breath slow down, just a little. Tonight we travel back through time, to the women of the Quran. Women who faced the impossible, women who stood alone, women who trusted completely when there was nothing left to hold on to. Their stories have been told for over 1,000 years, and tonight, they are here for you. Our first story tonight is the story of Maryam, the woman whom Allah chose above all the women of the world. Let us begin. Maryam was not born into ordinary circumstances. Before she even entered this world, her mother made a vow. She had been longing for a child for years, the kind of longing that settles into your bones, that you carry with you in every quiet moment. And when she finally felt new life growing inside her, she turned to Allah and said, "What is in my womb, I dedicate entirely to you. Accept this from me. You are the all-hearing, the all-knowing." She expected a son. Sons in that time and place could serve the temple. Sons could dedicate their lives to worship in ways that daughters could not. And then the child arrived. A daughter. Her mother looked at this tiny girl and felt the weight of her own expectation pressing down. She said, "My Lord, I have delivered a girl," and Allah knew better what she had delivered. A boy could never be like this girl. She named her Maryam, and she placed her under the protection of Allah, she and her descendants, from the outcast Shaitan. From the very first breath, Maryam was set apart. She grew up near the temple, cared for by the prophet Zechariah. He had drawn the short straw among the priests, and so the responsibility of watching over this unusual child fell to him. And he noticed something that he could not explain. Whenever he entered the place where Maryam stayed, he found provisions there, food that had no business being there, fruits that were out of season, sustenance that appeared without any visible source. He asked her, "Maryam, where does this come from?" And she said simply, "It is from Allah. Allah provides for whom He wills without any account." She was a child, and she said this the way that you might say the sun rises in the east, without drama, without wonder, as if it were the most natural thing in the world. Because for Maryam, it was. She had grown up in such close proximity to Allah that His provision felt as ordinary as breathing, as natural as rain. This is something worth holding tonight. The possibility that closeness to Allah can become so deep, so habitual, so woven into the fabric of your ordinary days that miracles no longer surprise you, that you come to expect goodness, that you live in a state of constant, quiet confidence that you are provided for. Maryam had that from childhood. Years passed. Maryam grew into a young woman of extraordinary devotion. She would pray until her feet swelled. She would fast until her body ached. But none of it felt like suffering to her, because it was all in the direction of the one she loved most. And then one day, everything changed. Maryam withdrew from her family to a place in the east. She wanted solitude, quiet, the kind of deep stillness that only comes when you remove yourself from the noise of people and simply be. It was there that a figure appeared before her. A man she did not recognize, perfect in form, standing where no one should have been. Maryam was afraid. In her fear and her wisdom, she said, "I seek refuge in the most merciful from you, if you have any taqwa." She did not run. She did not scream. She called upon Allah in the very moment of her fear. She put herself under divine protection before she even knew what she was facing. And the figure said, "I am only a messenger from your Lord. I have come to give you the news of a pure boy." Maryam's mind went immediately to the logical. She said, "How can I have a boy when no man has touched me and I have never been unchaste?" She was not doubting Allah. She was simply thinking out loud, the way any of us might when confronted with something that doesn't fit our understanding of how the world works. And the angel said, "Your Lord says, it is easy for me, and we will make him a sign for the people, and a mercy from us. It is a matter already decided. It is easy for me." Let those 4 words rest in your mind for a moment. Whatever you are facing tonight, whatever feels too complicated, too broken, too far beyond repair for Allah, it is easy. The angel breathed the spirit into Maryam and left, and she felt the new life within her. She withdrew even further from her people. She carried this secret alone. Imagine the weight of that. A woman, unmarried, carrying a child she cannot explain to anyone. A woman whose entire reputation, her entire identity, had been built around her purity and her devotion. And now this. How do you explain the unexplainable? How do you defend yourself against an accusation that is technically true but spiritually false? You cannot. There are no words. There is only trust. Maryam trusted. She did not try to explain. She did not send word ahead to prepare people. She simply walked the path that Allah had placed in front of her, one step at a time. When the time of birth came, she was alone, far from her family, under a palm tree, in pain, overwhelmed, exhausted in a way that went beyond the physical. She said something then that I want you to hear. She said, "I wish I had died before this and was a thing completely forgotten." A woman chosen by Allah, above all the women of the world, a woman visited by an angel, a woman who had witnessed miracles in her own home since childhood. And in this moment of pain and isolation and fear, she wished she had never existed. This is one of the most human moments in the entire Quran. Because Maryam's closeness to Allah did not make her immune to human suffering, her faith did not prevent her from feeling overwhelmed. Her devotion did not stop the waves of pain and isolation from crashing over her. What faith does, what it has always done, is not eliminate the storm. It provides an anchor within the storm, so that even when you are battered and exhausted and wishing for relief that hasn't come, something holds. And something held for Maryam. A voice called out from beneath her, not from above, from below, from the earth itself. "Do not grieve. Your Lord has provided a stream beneath you. And shake the trunk of the palm tree toward you. It will drop fresh, ripe dates upon you. So eat and drink, and let your eyes be cooled." Water appeared beneath her feet. Food fell from the tree above her, and a voice said, "Be cooled." Not just physically, not just materially, be cooled. Let the heat of your fear and your grief and your exhaustion cool. She ate, she drank, she rested, and when she was ready, she returned to her people, carrying her child. They looked at her with exactly the accusation she had feared. They said, "O Maryam, you have done something tremendous. Your father was not a man of evil. Your mother was not unchaste." Maryam did not speak. Allah had told her beforehand, if you see any human being, say, "I have vowed to the most merciful a fast, and I will not speak to any human today." So she said nothing. She simply pointed to the child. And the people said, "How can we speak to one who is an infant in the cradle?" and the infant spoke. In a clear, calm voice, the baby Isa said, "I am the servant of Allah. He has given me the scripture and made me a prophet. He has made me blessed wherever I am. And he has enjoined upon me prayer and zakah as long as I remain alive. And he has made me dutiful to my mother, and not a wretched tyrant. And peace is on me, the day I was born, and the day I will die, and the day I am raised alive." A newborn child, speaking complete, perfect, eloquent truth. Defending his mother before she could defend herself. Allah had not abandoned Maryam in her hardest moment. He had placed her defense in the mouth of her child. He had answered every accusation before it could fully form. She had trusted when she could not see. She had walked forward when the path made no sense. She had endured the isolation and the pain and the fear without explanation. And Allah had handled everything else. Maryam is the only woman named directly in the Quran, the only woman to have an entire chapter named after her, not because her life was easy, but because of what she did when it was impossibly hard. She trusted. Tonight, wherever you are, whatever you are carrying that feels too heavy or too complicated or too shameful to explain to anyone, you are in good company. Maryam carried something she couldn't explain too, and she was not abandoned. Neither are you. Let your body sink a little deeper now. Feel the weight of the day releasing from your shoulders, from your jaw, from your hands. You don't have to explain tonight. You don't have to defend yourself tonight. You don't have to solve anything tonight. Simply rest. Our second story tonight is the story of Hajar, a woman who was left in the desert with nothing but her child and her faith, and who ran. Let us begin. Hajar was not born into prophethood. She was not raised in a temple. She did not grow up surrounded by the extraordinary. She was a woman who came into the life of Ibrahim through circumstances beyond her control, and she loved with the complete, consuming love of a mother her son Ismail. Ismail was Ibrahim's firstborn, the son he had prayed for through decades of longing, the child who arrived when Ibrahim was already old, when hope had become a kind of discipline rather than a feeling. And then Allah gave Ibrahim an instruction that seemed to make no sense at all. Take your wife Hajar and your infant son Ismail to a valley with no vegetation, no water, no people. Leave them there and come back. Ibrahim walked with them through the desert, further and further from anything that could sustain life, until they reached the valley that would one day become Makkah. He set down their provisions, a small amount of water, a little food. He settled Hajar and the baby on the ground. He turned to leave. And Hajar called after him, "Ibrahim, where are you going? Are you leaving us in this valley where there is no one and nothing?" He did not answer. He kept walking. She called again, "Ibrahim, did Allah command you to do this?" He stopped. Without turning around, he said yes. And Hajar said then, "He will not abandon us." 5 words. Then he will not abandon us. She did not ask for more explanation. She did not demand that Ibrahim stay. She did not collapse into panic or rage or grief. She simply trusted the character of the one who had given the command. If Allah said this, then it is right. And if it is right, then we will be taken care of. Ibrahim walked away. He walked until he could no longer see them, and then he stopped and turned toward where they were, where his wife and his infant son sat alone in the desert, and he made a dua that has been recited for thousands of years. "Our Lord, I have settled some of my descendants in an uncultivated valley near your sacred house. Our Lord, that they may establish prayer. So make hearts among the people incline toward them, and provide for them from the fruits that they might be grateful." He prayed, because prayer was the only thing he could do, and then he continued walking. Hajar sat with her child in the silence of the desert. The water ran out. Ismail began to cry, the thin, desperate cry of a baby dying of thirst, and Hajar could not bear to watch. She laid him on the ground, and she ran. Up the hill of Safa, looking desperately in every direction for any sign of water, of life, of hope, nothing. She ran down, across the valley floor, up the hill of Marwa on the other side, looking again, nothing. Back, down, across, up, down, across, up. 7 times she ran between those 2 hills. 7 times. There is something I want you to understand about those 7 runs. Hajar was not running in circles of despair. She was not paralyzed by fear, sitting still and waiting for rescue. She was taking every possible action available to her, with full knowledge that her own actions were insufficient. She ran because that was what she could do. She looked because looking was within her power, and she trusted that Allah would handle what was beyond her power. On the 7th run, she heard something. She stopped. A sound, coming from where she had left Ismail. She ran back, and there, beneath the feet of her infant son, water was bubbling up from the earth, clear, clean, cold, gushing from the sand. She cupped her hands and drank. She gave water to her child. She began building a small basin around the spring to contain it. And as she worked, she said, "Zamzam. Gather, come together." The water that flowed from beneath the feet of Ismail has never stopped. It flows today. Millions of people drink from it every year. Billions have drunk from it across the centuries. The water that answered the desperate thirst of one mother and her child has become one of the most enduring sources of sustenance in human history. The run of Hajar between Safa and Marwa is now one of the pillars of Hajj. Every pilgrim who has ever walked to Makkah has retraced her steps, has run the same distance, has honored the same desperate, faithful, beautiful act. What Hajar did alone and terrified in the desert has been witnessed by millions. What felt like abandonment became the foundation of the holiest place on earth. Sometimes, the moments that feel most like abandonment are actually the moments that will ripple outward in ways we cannot begin to imagine. Sometimes running, not giving up, not sitting still, but moving with everything you have, while trusting that Allah handles what you cannot, is exactly the right response. Hajar ran, and the earth opened. As you lie here tonight, think of where you are running, not literally, but the thing you are still working at, still showing up for, still trying, even when it feels like nothing is coming. Keep running. The water is closer than you think. Let your breath deepen now. Let your body become heavier with each exhale. You are safe. You are held. The same one who sent water to Hajar in the desert knows exactly where you are tonight. Our third story tonight is the story of Asiya, the wife of Pharaoh, the most powerful woman in the most powerful empire on earth, and one of the 4 greatest women who ever lived. Let us begin. Asiya lived in the palace of Pharaoh. She had everything that the world could offer: wealth, power, beauty, influence, comfort. She lacked nothing that could be bought or commanded or arranged. And yet, there is a moment in the story of Asiya that I find almost unbearable in its tenderness. When the basket came floating down the Nile, Pharaoh's people found it, a small basket, sealed carefully, moving against the current as if it were being guided, and inside a baby, a small, beautiful, calm baby boy, with eyes that seemed to look straight through you. The servants brought him to the palace. Pharaoh looked at this child and saw a threat. He had already ordered the killing of all infant boys born to the Israelites. This child was exactly what he had been trying to prevent. But Asiya looked at this baby and felt something crack open inside her chest. She said to Pharaoh, "He will be a comfort to my eye and yours. Do not kill him. Perhaps he will benefit us, or we will adopt him as a son." She named him Musa. She raised him. She loved him. She fought for his life in the court of the most powerful man in the world, a man who killed children for far less, and she won. And then Musa grew up, and the truth came, and everything Asiya had believed about the world she lived in began to fall apart. Pharaoh claimed to be divine. He claimed to be the highest power, the ultimate authority, the one from whom all provision and protection flowed. And Asiya, who had watched Musa grow, who had seen something different in him from the very beginning, who had felt in her heart a certainty she could not fully name Asiya, looked at the man she was married to, the man whose palace she lived in, the man whose power surrounded her on every side. And she believed in something else. This is the most extraordinary act of courage in the Quran. Asiya had every reason to stay silent. She had every reason to simply go along. The cost of belief was everything: her comfort, her safety, her status, her life. She believed anyway. When Pharaoh discovered her faith, he had her tortured. He commanded that she be staked to the earth under the desert sun. He wanted her to renounce what she believed. He wanted her to say that he was the greatest power. She refused. In that moment of unbearable pain, staked to the ground, the sun bearing down, her husband standing over her demanding that she deny what she knew to be true, Asiya made a dua. She said, "My Lord, build for me near you a house in paradise, and save me from Pharaoh and his deeds, and save me from the wrongdoing people." She did not pray to be released from the pain. She did not pray for Pharaoh to change. She did not pray for rescue in this world. She prayed for what was beyond this world. She asked for a house near Allah. She asked to be saved from the man who was standing over her, not necessarily in this moment, but ultimately, finally, completely. And the Quran tells us that her house was shown to her while she was being tortured, while the sun was at its worst and the pain was beyond anything describable. She was shown her home in paradise. And she smiled. The guards watching her did not understand. They had seen people break under far less. They had seen strong men renounce everything to stop the pain. And this woman was smiling. Because she could see something they could not. She could see that what was happening to her body was temporary, and what awaited her was not. Asiya teaches us something that is almost too difficult to hold, that true freedom is internal, that no external power, no matter how great, can reach the place inside you where your faith lives. That even in the worst possible circumstances, there is a room inside the human soul that belongs entirely to Allah. Pharaoh had her body. He never had her soul. She died with her face turned toward what she believed, and she is remembered as one of the greatest human beings who ever lived, not because of her wealth, or her palace, or her position, but because of what she chose to believe when everything else was taken away. Tonight, if there is something in your life that feels like it is pressing down on you, something you cannot escape, cannot change, cannot control, remember Asiya. Remember that your inner life belongs to you, that what you believe, what you hold on to, what you turn toward in the darkness, no one can take that. Your faith is the one thing in this world that is entirely yours. Let that settle into you now. Let your body grow heavier and warmer. Let the things you cannot control tonight simply be. They do not need you to solve them right now. Right now, There is only this breath, this warmth, this stillness. Our fourth story tonight is the story of Musa's mother, a woman whose name we do not know, whose face we cannot picture, but whose act of trust is one of the most beautiful moments in the entire Quran. Let us begin. She was a mother. That is what we know. That is everything we know. A mother, an Israelite woman, living under the shadow of Pharaoh's decree that all newborn boys would be killed. And she gave birth to a son. Imagine holding that child for the first time, feeling the impossible love of a mother for a newborn, that specific, consuming, terrifying love that makes the whole world reorganize itself around one small face. And knowing that if anyone discovered him, he would be taken. She hid him. For 3 months she hid him, feeding him quietly, keeping him from crying at the wrong moments, living with the constant terror of discovery. 3 months of that. 3 months of hiding the thing she loved most in the world. And then Allah spoke to her. He said, "Suckle him, and when you fear for him, cast him into the river, and do not fear and do not grieve. Indeed, we will return him to you, and will make him one of the messengers." Cast him into the river. Put your infant son, the child you have been hiding and protecting for 3 months, the child you love more than your own life, put him in a basket, and put that basket in the Nile. The Nile, a river, moving water, crocodiles, currents, the unknown. And do not fear, and do not grieve. She did it. No name, no credit, no one watching. Just a mother and her baby, and a river, and a God she trusted completely. She placed him in the basket. She sealed it carefully. She set it in the water. She let go. And she watched it float away. The Quran tells us what happened next in a single, devastating line. The heart of Musa's mother became empty. Not peaceful, not resolved, empty. She almost revealed the truth. She almost ran after the basket. She almost could not bear it. Almost. Because Allah says, we bound up her heart so that she would be of the believers. He did not remove her grief. He did not eliminate the anguish of watching her child float away. He held her. He steadied her. He gave her just enough strength to do the hardest thing she had ever done. And then he began to work. The basket was guided against the current into the reeds near the palace, into the hands of the people it needed to reach, into the arms of a woman who would love him and fight for him. And then Musa's sister, quietly following at a distance, appeared at the palace and said, "Shall I guide you to a household who will nurse him for you and be to him a sincere caretaker?" They said yes. And the sister went home, and she brought the one woman on earth who could feed this child, the one woman whose milk he would accept, the one woman whose face he recognized, whose smell meant safety, whose heartbeat he already knew. His mother. She walked back into the palace. She held her son. She nursed her son. And she knew, because Allah had promised, that she would not lose him. And then the Quran says something so simple and so profound that it is almost difficult to read. And we restored him to his mother, that she might be content and not grieve, and that she would know that the promise of Allah is true. The promise of Allah is true. She had trusted when trusting made no sense. She had let go when every maternal instinct screamed to hold tighter. She had placed her most precious thing in the hands of Allah and stepped back. And He gave it back. We do not know her name. We do not know what she looked like, where she came from, how she spent the rest of her life. The Quran does not tell us. But it tells us this, that her willingness to trust, in one impossible moment, set in motion a chain of events that would change the course of history. Musa became a prophet. Musa led his people to freedom. Musa spoke to Allah directly. Because his mother let go. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is not the thing that takes courage in front of people. It is the private act of trust that no one sees. The letting go that happens in a quiet moment, alone, when you place something precious in the hands of Allah and say, I cannot hold this anymore. I trust you. That is enough. That is more than enough. Let yourself breathe deeply now. Whatever you have been holding tightly tonight, whatever you have been afraid to release, you are allowed to let it go for now. Just for tonight. Just while you sleep. It will be held. You will not lose it. The one who guided a basket against the current of the Nile can hold whatever you are carrying. Let go. Our fifth story tonight is the story of Khadijah, the first Muslim, the woman who believed before anyone else, the one who held a shaking prophet in her arms and said, you will be all right. Let us begin. Before Khadijah, Muhammad was a man known for his honesty and his character. Al-Amin, they called him, the trustworthy one. Before Khadijah, he had never claimed anything for himself. He had never sought fame or power or status. He was a man who sat with the poor and the widow and the traveler, a man who troubled himself over the suffering of others, a man who, increasingly, could not bear the darkness he saw in the world around him. He would go to the cave of Hira to think, to be alone, to search for something he could feel, but not yet name. And then the night came. The angel squeezed him 3 times, and then recited, and Muhammad ran. He ran home. He ran to Khadijah. He was shaking the kind of trembling that comes from the inside, from the very foundation of your understanding of the world shifting beneath your feet. He said, cover me, cover me. And she covered him. She wrapped him in a cloak. She held him. She did not ask questions yet. She did not demand explanation. She simply covered her husband and held him while the shaking passed. And when he could speak, he told her what had happened. He said, I fear for myself. And Khadijah said something that has echoed across 14 centuries. She said, never. By Allah, he will never humiliate you. You maintain family ties. You carry the burdens of others. You earn money and give to those who have nothing. You honor your guests. You assist those in distress. She did not say, I believe you. She did not say, of course you are a prophet. She did not make theological arguments. She described who he was. She named his character, his acts, his life. She said, a man like you does not get abandoned by Allah. She then took him to her cousin Waraka, who confirmed what had happened. She came back to Muhammad and she said, I believe in you. I testify that you are the messenger of Allah. The first human being to say those words, before any man, before any angel's confirmation, before any community or movement or following. Khadijah. For 15 years they had been married before that night. She had watched him. She had known him. She had seen his character expressed in 10,000 ordinary moments, in how he treated the servants, in how he spoke to strangers, in where he spent his time, in what made him grieve. Her faith in him in that moment was not a leap into the unknown. It was the natural conclusion of 15 years of careful attention. She believed because she had been watching. The years that followed were hard. The early Muslims were mocked, persecuted, boycotted, driven to the edges of society, and through all of it, Khadijah was there. She gave her wealth. She gave her home. She gave her comfort and her status, everything she had accumulated through a life of extraordinary business acumen and discipline. She gave it, quietly, completely, to the cause that her husband was dedicated to. She never complained, she never wavered, she never asked for recognition. She simply believed, and she gave, and she supported. The Prophet Muhammad, in the years after her death, would say she believed in me when no one else did. She accepted me when no one else would. She supported me with her wealth when no one else would. And Allah gave me children through her and through no other wife. He would still send food to her old friends years after her death. He would speak of her with the kind of tenderness that does not diminish with time. Khadijah did not live to see what grew from those early, difficult years. She died before the great expansion, before the communities, before the millions who would follow. She only saw the beginning, the painful, lonely, uncertain beginning. She believed anyway. There is a kind of love that Khadijah embodied that is worth thinking about as you drift into sleep tonight. A love that sees someone clearly, all of them, the greatness and the fear and the shaking and the uncertainty, and says yes anyway. A love that is built not on the promise of what someone might become, but on the evidence of who they already are. And there is a kind of faith that Khadijah embodied that is worth carrying into your dreams. A faith that is earned through attention, through years of watching the world, through paying close enough attention to the character of Allah, expressed in the patterns of your own life, that when the hard moment comes, you already know. You already know that you are not abandoned. You already know that goodness does not go unwitnessed. You already know. Let that knowing settle into you now. Let your body rest completely. Every muscle, every thought, every lingering worry, let it all rest. You have made it to the end of this day. That is enough. That is more than enough. Our final story tonight is the story of Asiya's prayer. We began with Asiya tonight, with her courage, her faith, her smile in the midst of unbearable pain. But I want to return to her for a moment, because what she left behind is not just a story. It is a prayer. 4 sentences that have been recited for over 1,000 years by people who were suffering, by people who were imprisoned, by people who were far from home, far from safety, far from the ones they loved. My Lord, build for me near you a house in paradise. She asked for nearness, not just paradise, nearness within paradise. She wanted to be close to Allah even there, even in the greatest reward imaginable. What she wanted most was closeness to the one she had chosen. And save me from Pharaoh and his deeds. She asked to be saved from the harm of someone who had power over her body. She knew that Pharaoh could hurt her. She did not pretend otherwise. She simply asked Allah to be her protection. And save me from the wrongdoing people. Not just Pharaoh, but anyone who would harm her, anyone who operated outside of goodness. She asked for broad, complete protection from all the harm that human beings can inflict on one another. In 4 sentences, Asiya said everything. She acknowledged what she wanted most. She named what she feared. She asked for help from the only one who could truly give it. And then she smiled, and she left this world, and she is in the company that she asked for. Tonight, as you drift into sleep, you can carry this prayer with you. My Lord, build for me near you a house in the places of peace. Save me from whatever is pressing down on me tonight. Save me from the things that harm me, that I cannot see. And bring me close to you. That is enough. That is everything. You have listened to 5 stories tonight. 5 women who faced impossible things. 5 women who trusted when trusting was the hardest possible response. Maryam who carried the inexplicable and was not abandoned. Hajar, who ran with everything she had and found water beneath her feet. Asiya, who chose her faith over her palace and smiled at the end. The mother of Musa, who let go and had her child returned to her. Khadijah, who believed when no one else did and gave everything she had. 5 women, 5 different kinds of strength, 5 different expressions of the same essential truth. Allah does not abandon the ones who turn to Him. Not in the whale, not in the desert, not in the palace of a tyrant, not in the Nile, not in the frightening early days of something that might fail. Not tonight. Not ever. Let your eyes be heavy now. Let your breathing slow to the pace of deep sleep. Feel the warmth around you. Feel the weight of your body sinking completely. You are held tonight by the same one who held all of them. And peace is on you. The way it was on Isa in the cradle. The way it was on Musa in the basket. The way it is on all of those who rest in the care of Allah. Good night, and peace be upon you. Allow yourself to drift even deeper now. The stories have settled into you. The names of these women, Maryam, Hajar, Asiya, the mother of Musa, Khadijah, let them rest in your heart like warm light. There is something that connects all 5 of them, something beyond faith, beyond courage, beyond the specific circumstances of each story. Each of them was alone at the crucial moment. Maryam was alone under the palm tree. Hajar was alone in the desert. Asiya was alone in her belief in a palace full of people. The mother of Musa was alone at the riverbank. Khadijah was alone in believing what her husband told her before any confirmation came from the outside world. Aloneness is something that the Quran understands deeply. It does not pretend that faith always comes with community and support and people around you who understand. Sometimes, often the most profound acts of trust happen in complete solitude. When no one is watching. When no one would know if you faltered. When the only witness is Allah. And it is precisely in those moments that something extraordinary becomes possible. Because when there is no one else to rely on, when there is nothing else to lean against, you discover what is actually holding you up. And what holds you up is always there. It was there in the desert with Hajar. It was there in the palace with Asiya. It was there at the riverbank with the mother of Musa. It was there in the cave on that terrifying night when Khadijah opened her door to a shaking man. It is here now, in this room, in this darkness, with you. You are not as alone as you sometimes feel. The same presence that was with each of those women is with you tonight, in this specific room, in this specific moment, aware of exactly what you are carrying, what you are afraid of, what you are hoping for. You are known, you are seen, you are held. Let that be the last thing your mind holds as it begins to drift. Not the problems, not the worries, not the things that need doing tomorrow. Just this. You are known, you are seen, you are held. Now I want to take you on one more journey tonight. A reflection on what these women share, on what we can learn not just from their stories, but from the texture of their lives, from the small details that get passed over in the telling. Think about Maryam and the food that appeared in her room. The Quran mentions this briefly. Zachariah sees it, asks, Maryam answers simply, and then the story moves on. But this detail has always stayed with me, because it suggests that long before the angel came, long before the miraculous birth, Long before any of the dramatic events of her life, Maryam was already living in a state of quiet, daily miracle. Food appearing out of season, provision coming without an obvious source. This was not a reward for a crisis. This was the ordinary texture of her life. This was what it felt like to live in the continuous awareness that Allah provides. Not just in emergencies, not just when you make a dramatic dua in a moment of desperation, but every day, in small, quiet, out-of-season ways. This is the invitation that Maryam's story holds for us, not just the big moments but the small ones. The provisions we don't notice because we are looking for the dramatic, the doors that open quietly while we are busy worrying about the locked ones, the sustenance that arrives in forms we didn't ask for. What would change if we paid attention to those? What would shift in the texture of our days if we began to notice the small provisions, the unexpected kindness, the problem that resolved itself, the fear that turned out to be unnecessary, the thing that worked out in a way we couldn't have planned? Maryam noticed, because she was paying attention, because she had cultivated over years of devotion a quality of awareness that allowed her to see Allah's provision even in its quietest forms. We can cultivate that too. It begins with exactly this kind of stillness, this kind of quiet, this settling of the mind that allows you to notice things that the noise of ordinary life obscures. So even as you drift towards sleep tonight, you are doing something valuable. You are practicing stillness. You are practicing the kind of quiet that allows you to see clearly. And tomorrow, when the day comes with its noise and its demands and its rushing, carry a little of this with you. Look for the small provisions, the out-of-season things, the grace that arrives without announcement. It is there. It has always been there. Now think about Hajar and her 7 runs. 7 times between the same 2 hills, the same distance, the same desperate scanning of the horizon, the same return to her child, the same absence of what she was looking for. And then, on the 7th time, the water. Why 7? Why not 1? Why not 3? The Quran doesn't explain. Allah doesn't explain. There is no verse that says she needed to run 7 times to build her faith or to earn the water or to prove something. It just happened to be 7. Which suggests something important. There is no formula. There is no specific number of prayers or tears or desperate looks at the horizon before the provision comes. There is no guarantee that on the 5th try or the 10th try or the 100th try something will change. There is only the running, the continued, faithful, exhausted running, with full knowledge that your own running is not what produces the water, and full commitment to keeping going anyway. Because what else would you do? Sit down and stop? Accept that the water will not come? Give up on the child who needs you? Hajar ran because running was what she could do, and she trusted that what she could not do would be handled. This is the quality of trust that the Quran returns to again and again, not passive waiting, not active self-reliance. But this third thing, this engaged, active, exhausted, fully committed trust that takes every available action and then releases the outcome. Where in your life are you still running? What are you still showing up for, even though nothing has changed yet? Keep going. The water is not on a predictable schedule, but it comes. For those who keep running, it always comes. Now think about Asiya and what she saw while she was being tortured. The house in paradise, shown to her, while she was staked to the ground in the desert heat. This is something that I find almost impossible to fully comprehend. Not just that paradise was shown to her, but that it was shown to her then, in that moment, at the worst possible point. Not as a reward after the suffering was over, not as a vision that came to her in a peaceful moment of meditation, but right there, in the middle of the worst thing that was happening to her. This is how close the other world is. Not somewhere far away, at the end of a very long road, after we have suffered enough and tried enough and deserved enough. Right here, right now, the thin veil between this world and what is beyond it is exactly that thin. Asiya could see through it. And she smiled. I think about this sometimes when the night feels heavy, when the darkness seems particularly dense, when it is hard to believe that anything good is waiting on the other side of whatever is hard right now. The veil is thin. What waits on the other side is not far. It is not obscured by distance. It is obscured only by the noise and the pain and the fear of this moment. But it is there, as real as the ground beneath you right now, as present as the darkness behind your closed eyes. And sometimes in moments of grace, in moments of complete surrender, in moments when the self falls quiet enough you can almost feel it. Not see it the way Asiya saw, but feel it, sense it, carry a faint memory of it the way you sometimes carry a feeling from a dream that you can't quite name but can't quite shake. It is there. You are going toward it. Everything difficult is moving you toward it, not away from it. That is enough to rest in tonight. Think of the mother of Musa and what she did in the quiet of the night. She made the basket, carefully, thoughtfully. She sealed it so that water would not come in. She made it as safe as a basket in a river can be made. And then she put her child in it, and she let go. I have thought often about what it means to make the basket. Before the trust comes the preparation. Before the letting go comes the doing of everything you can. She did not simply open her arms and release her child into the river bare and unprotected, she thought. She planned, she crafted, she made the best possible container she could make. And then she put him in it, and she let go. This is the pattern. It is not passivity. It is not fatalism. It is not the abandonment of effort or thought or careful action. Make the basket. Do what you can. Prepare as well as you are able. Think through the risks. Take the precautions that are within your power. And then place what you love most in the hands of Allah. And let the current carry it. This is not giving up. This is not weakness. This is arguably the most difficult and the most sophisticated response to an impossible situation that a human being can manage. Because it requires you to hold two things at once: complete engagement with what is in your power, and complete release of what is not. Most of us can do one or the other. We are either frantically trying to control everything, or we are collapsing into helplessness and waiting for Allah to do everything. The mother of Musa did both. She made the basket, and she let go. Tonight, whatever you have been trying to control that is beyond your control, have you made your basket? Have you done what is within your power to do? If yes, then let go. Place it in the river. Trust the current. If not yet, then rest tonight, and tomorrow make your basket. Either way, tonight, let it rest. And think of Khadijah, who believed first. There is a loneliness that comes with believing something before others do, with seeing something clearly that others cannot yet see, with being certain of something you cannot yet prove. Khadijah knew this loneliness. She believed in Muhammad's prophethood before there were 5 Muslims, before there were 2. She believed when he was still uncertain himself. She believed when believing meant social exclusion and financial sacrifice and an uncertain future. She was first. And being first is lonely. But it is also the most important position, because without the first believers, there are no later ones. Without the people who hold the vision when it is too early to be certain, nothing new is ever born into the world. If you are holding something tonight that you believe in but cannot yet prove something, You can see clearly that others around you cannot yet see. This loneliness is real, and it is worth something. Khadijah's early, lonely, certain belief was the foundation on which everything was built. Your early, lonely, certain belief may be the foundation of something too. Hold it gently. Protect it the way Khadijah protected what she believed, not defensively, not aggressively, but with the quiet, unshakable confidence of someone who has seen enough of the world to know what is real. It will not always be lonely. The ones who can see will come. The moment of recognition will arrive. Until then, hold the vision. Let yourself float now. Let the stories carry you the way the current carried Musa's basket. Let yourself be held by something larger than your own effort. You have traveled far tonight. Through the desert with Hajar, through the palace with Asiya, to the riverbank with a mother whose name we do not know, into the home of Khadijah, where a frightened man found comfort, and under the palm tree with Maryam, where water and food arrived without explanation. 5 women. 5 different circumstances. One truth. You are not alone. You are not abandoned. You are not beyond help or beyond hope or beyond the reach of the one who created you. The same Allah who provided for Maryam in her room provides for you. The same Allah who sent water to Hajar's feet is aware of your thirst. The same Allah who showed Asiya her home in paradise while she suffered sees your suffering. The same Allah who guided the basket against the current is guiding whatever you have placed in His hands. The same Allah who strengthened Khadijah's certainty in the uncertain early days strengthens yours. He has not changed. He has not moved. He has not shifted His attention. He is here, now, in this room, with you. Sleep now. Deeply, fully, without fear. Your stories are not finished. The best parts, like the stories of these women, are still ahead. Rest in that tonight. Good night, and peace be upon you. There is a quality that all 5 of these women shared that I have been thinking about as I tell their stories. Silence. Not the silence of having nothing to say, but the silence of someone who has moved beyond the need to explain themselves to the world. Maryam was told to fast from speech. She pointed to her child instead of defending herself in words. She let the miracle speak. Hajar ran in silence. The Quran does not record her crying out to Pharaoh for help, or sending word to Ibrahim, or demanding explanation from the angel who had brought her here. She ran. Asiya chose her moment of greatest faith in the interior, private space of her own heart. She did not announce her belief to the court. She did not make a speech. She prayed inward, upward, alone. The mother of Musa sealed the basket and said nothing. She watched in silence as it moved away. She sent her daughter to watch in silence. The whole operation was carried out in the quiet of necessity. Khadijah spoke, but only to Muhammad, and only what needed to be said. She named his character. She arranged the meeting with Waraka. She said the words of faith, and then she got to work. There is wisdom in this silence that I think we often overlook. We live in a time that values expression, that places enormous weight on articulating your experience, sharing your feelings, making your faith visible and vocal and documented, and there is value in that. Community and connection and the transmission of knowledge all require words. But there is another kind of faith, the kind that does not need an audience, the kind that operates in the quiet, between the words, the kind that is expressed not in what you say, but in what you do when no one is watching. This is the faith of the women of the Quran. It is worth cultivating, this capacity for interior silence, for trusting in a way that does not require external validation, for knowing something so deeply that you do not need to convince anyone else of it. The world will not always understand what you are doing. The people around you will not always see the wisdom in your choices. The path you are walking will not always be explainable in terms that make sense to others. Maryam could not explain her child. Hajar could not explain why she had been left in a desert. Asiya could not explain her smile to the guards. The mother of Musa could not explain why she was putting her baby in a river. Khadijah could not explain, with evidence, why she believed so completely in the early days. They did not try to explain, they simply lived it. This is a practice you can begin tonight. The practice of interior silence, of holding what you know and what you believe in a space that is yours alone, of letting your actions be the explanation when words are not enough. The Quran sees you in your silence. It honors you there. It has been recording the interior lives of these women for over 1,000 years, precisely because the interior life matters, the private trust, the personal surrender, the quiet faith that no one but Allah witnesses. He sees it. He has always seen it. That is enough. Now let us move into the deepest part of the night. The hour when sleep comes most fully, when the mind releases its grip on the day and allows the body to restore itself, when the dreams come, sometimes teaching, sometimes healing, sometimes simply resting. In Islam, sleep is understood as a small death, a temporary withdrawal of the soul, a nightly practice of surrender. And waking is understood as a small resurrection. Each morning is evidence that you are being given more time, more days, more chances. Every night when you close your eyes, you are practicing something profound. You are letting go of control. You are surrendering your consciousness. You are trusting that when you open your eyes again, the world will still be there, and you will be in it. This is not a small act of faith. This is actually one of the most fundamental acts of trust that human beings perform, and we do it every single night, mostly without noticing. Tonight, notice it. Notice that you are about to surrender. Notice that you are about to let go completely. Notice that the darkness behind your closed eyes is not threatening, it is welcoming. It is the darkness of rest, not the darkness of danger. You are safe in this darkness. The women of the Quran surrendered to far darker moments than this, and they were met there. They were not abandoned in their darkness. They were found and provided for and returned to the light. You will open your eyes tomorrow, and the world will still be here, and you will be in it. That is the promise of morning, and morning always comes. Let your body become completely heavy now. Starting with your feet, let them sink. Let all the tension drain out of them through the mattress into the earth below. Let them become so heavy that moving them would take more effort than you have. Let that heaviness move slowly upward. Your calves, your knees, your thighs, your hips, heavy, warm, completely at rest. Your back releasing into the surface beneath you. Every vertebra settling. Every muscle letting go of its vigilance. The long muscles on either side of your spine releasing their day-long tension. Your chest opening slightly with each breath. Your lungs expanding and releasing with no effort required. Your body knows how to breathe. You do not have to manage it. Let it happen on its own. Your shoulders dropping away from your ears, dropping further than you think possible, dropping all the way down until they are resting completely. Your arms heavy at your sides, your hands open, palms facing upward, the position of receiving, the position of openness, the position that says, I am not holding anything right now. I am available to be given to. Your neck releasing, the muscles that have been holding your head up all day finally allowed to rest, your head heavy on the pillow. Your jaw softening, teeth unclenched, lips slightly parted. your forehead smooth, the furrow between your brows releasing, your eyes soft behind their closed lids, your entire face relaxing into an expression of complete peace. This is what you look like in sleep. This is what you look like when the day releases its grip. This is the version of you that existed before the world told you what to worry about and what to carry and what to fear. This is the version of you that Maryam would recognize, that Hajar would recognize, that Asiya would recognize. A human being made of light, resting in the care of the one who made them. Let your breathing slow even further now. Each breath in, a little slower than the one before. Each breath out, a little longer, a little more complete. You are releasing everything that accumulated today, every tension, every frustration, every moment of anxiety or sadness or confusion. Breathing it out and receiving in its place rest, quiet, peace. The Quran says, "And it is He who takes your souls by night and knows what you have committed by day." He knows. He has been with you all day. He has seen every moment, the ones you are proud of and the ones you are not. He has seen your efforts and your failures and everything in between. And He gathers you now, gently, into the mercy of sleep. You do not have to review the day. You do not have to process every moment or resolve every tension or figure out what you should have done differently. That is for another time. This time is for rest. Simply rest. The women of the Quran rested too. Between the great moments of their stories, between the angel's visit and the birth, between the running and the water, between the torture and the vision, there were ordinary nights. Nights when they closed their eyes and let go of the day. Nights when they trusted that morning would come. Nights exactly like this one. You are in their company tonight, not because you have done what they did, but because you are human as they were, because you are turning toward Allah as they did, because you are trusting in the darkness as they did. That is enough to belong to this lineage. The lineage of people who, in the quiet of the night, lay down their burdens and trusted. Lay yours down now. All of it. The things you are afraid of, the things you have not resolved, the things that happened today that you wish had gone differently, the things you are hoping for that have not yet arrived. Lay them down, just for tonight, just for these hours of sleep. They will be there in the morning if you need to pick them up again, but tonight put them down. And rest in the place where Maryam rested, where Hajar rested after she found the water, where Asiya's soul rested after the veil was lifted, where the mother of Musa rested after her child was returned, where Khadijah rested after 15 years of loving a man who was about to change the world. The place of knowing that you are held. The place of trusting that the morning will come. The place of peace. Hasbi Allahu wa ni'mal wakil. Allah is sufficient for me, and He is the best disposer of affairs. Sleep now. Deeply. Peacefully. Completely. Good night. And peace be upon you. We have been traveling together for a while now, and I want to slow down even further, because there is something about the deepest part of the night that asks for a different quality of attention, not the engaged attention of listening to a story, but the receptive attention of simply being present, of letting the quiet work on you in ways that words cannot fully reach. So for a while, I want to simply be here with you and speak about things that do not need to be understood intellectually, things that are better felt than analyzed. The first thing is this. You are made of light. Not metaphorically, not as a poetic flourish, The Quran speaks of a nur, a light that is inherent to human beings. Allah breathed His spirit into the first human. Something of the divine lives in the architecture of what you are. This is not something you earn. It is not something you can lose through sin or failure or distance from what is good. It is woven into your original design. You were made carrying something sacred. On the nights when that is hard to feel, when the weight of what you have done or left undone or failed to become presses down, this remains true. You were made carrying something sacred. The women whose stories you heard tonight knew this about themselves, not because they were extraordinary, but because they were close enough to the source that the reflection was visible. Maryam, whose light was so evident that it attracted the provision of Allah in her ordinary days. Hajar, whose light was strong enough to sustain her through the desert and the running and the desperate search for water. Asiya, whose light was bright enough that no amount of external darkness could extinguish it. The mother of Musa, whose light expressed itself in the patient, careful making of a basket at the edge of a river in the middle of the night. Khadijah, whose light recognized the light in another human being and believed in it before anyone else could see it. You carry what they carried. The same material, the same origin, the same fundamental nature. What you do with it, that is the work of a lifetime. And you have time. You have this night, and you have tomorrow, and you have however many more days are given to you. But tonight simply rest in the knowledge that you carry something sacred. It does not need to be earned or proven or demonstrated. It simply is. The second thing is this. There is a mercy that covers everything. The Quran says, "My mercy encompasses all things." Not most things, not good things, not deserving things, all things. The mistakes you have made, the people you have hurt, the promises you have broken, the prayers you have neglected, the days you have spent moving away from what you know is good. All of it is encompassed by a mercy that is larger than all of it combined. This is not permission to continue in harm. It is not an excuse for carelessness. It is an invitation to stop believing that you have moved beyond the reach of what can restore you. You have not moved beyond it. You cannot move beyond it. The mercy that encompasses all things encompasses you, tonight, in this moment, with everything you are carrying that you are ashamed of. It covers you. This is what the women of the Quran knew, each in her own way. Maryam knew it when she returned to her people carrying something she could not defend. Hajar knew it when she laid her dying child on the ground and ran because running was all she had. Asiya knew it when she chose, against all logic and self-preservation, to believe. The mother of Musa knew it when she placed her child in the water and stepped back. Khadijah knew it in the early years when belief felt like walking into darkness without a lamp. They were not perfect women. They were human women, with human fears and human doubts and human moments of near breaking. And the mercy covered them. It covers you too. The third thing I want to say tonight is very simple. Tomorrow will come. I know that sounds obvious, but sometimes in the middle of a hard night, the morning feels very far away. Sometimes the darkness feels permanent. Sometimes the difficulty that is pressing down seems like it will never lift. It will lift. Not because every problem will be solved, not because every pain will disappear, but because morning always comes, because the world keeps turning, because the light returns, reliably, every single day, regardless of what happened in the darkness. Maryam's morning came. Under a palm tree, exhausted and in pain, she ate and drank and was comforted. And when she walked back to her people, she was no longer alone. She had a child who could speak. She had a miracle in her arms. Hajar's morning came. On the 7th run, the water appeared, and the valley that had been empty and silent and deadly began to fill with life. Asiya's morning, her real morning, came when the veil was lifted and she saw what waited for her. And though her morning in this world did not look like the rescue she might have hoped for, she left it smiling. The mother of Musa's morning came when she walked into the palace and held her child again and felt what it is to have something precious returned to you. Khadijah's morning came and came again through 15 years of marriage and many more years of the early Islamic community, growing from something small and fragile into something that would eventually reach every corner of the world. Your morning will come too. Whatever this night holds, whatever the weight is that has made it hard to fall asleep, whatever the thought is that keeps circling back, your morning will come. And when it does, you will have rested. You will have traveled with the women of the Quran. You will have let your body and your mind settle into something quieter and more spacious than the noise of the day. You will wake with something that you cannot quite name, a residue of these stories, a faint memory of the quality of this night. And perhaps, in a small way, you will carry something of what they carried. The quiet knowing that you are not alone. The practiced capacity to trust in darkness. The deep, settled certainty that mercy covers everything. Let all of that be present with you now as you move into the final moments before sleep. Let your breath be very slow. Let your body be very heavy. Let your mind be very quiet. There is nothing to think about right now, nothing to solve, nothing to figure out. There is only this breath, in and out, in and out. The rhythm that has sustained you since before you were born, the rhythm that will continue through this night and into the morning that is already on its way. You are breathing. That is enough. That is more than enough. Maryam breathed under the palm tree and was sustained. Hajar breathed as she ran, and the breath gave her legs what they needed. Asiya breathed in the desert heat and found that breath itself was a mercy. The mother of Musa breathed at the riverbank, and the breath was what kept her from calling out and revealing everything. Khadijah breathed in the darkness of that first terrible night, and the breath was what allowed her to cover her husband and hold him until the shaking stopped. They all breathed. And so do you. In this, you are exactly like them. In this fundamental, ordinary, sacred act, breathing in the darkness, trusting that the next breath will come, you are in their company. Welcome to that company. Welcome to the lineage of people who, in the quiet of the night, simply breathed and trusted. It is enough. You are enough. Sleep now. Deeply and peacefully and completely. The morning is already on its way. Good night. And peace be upon you, and upon all the women who carried light through the darkness before us, and upon all the ones who will carry it after. Peace. I want to tell you one more story tonight. A story that is not in the Quran, but that lives in the tradition surrounding it. A story about a woman whose name history has not preserved, whose face we cannot picture, whose life we know almost nothing about, but whose single act has been remembered for over 1,000 years. She came to the Prophet Muhammad with a question, a woman old and frail who had walked a long distance to ask something that mattered to her. The companions around the Prophet were discussing important things, theology, community, governance. She waited, and when she had her moment, she asked him her question. And he stopped everything. He turned toward her completely. He answered her with his full attention, without impatience, without dismissiveness, without making her feel that her question was small. He gave her the same quality of attention he would have given to a king. We remember this story not because of her name or her question. We remember it because of what it reveals about how the people of the Quran treated the ordinary human being who stood before them. Every person mattered. Every question deserved full attention. Every life, no matter how small it appeared from the outside, was worth stopping for. The women of the Quran were not famous during their lives. Maryam raised her son and lived her quiet, devoted life. Hajar built a community around a spring of water and raised a son who became the forefather of a prophet. Asiya died in pain and left a palace that is not standing anymore. The mother of Musa grew old watching her son lead a people to freedom and probably died before that story was complete. Khadijah died before she could see what grew from the early years. None of them knew, in their lifetimes, what their stories would become. They simply lived and trusted and showed up again and again for the small ordinary demands of their extraordinary circumstances. And Allah recorded it all, every detail, the food out of season, the 7 runs, the smile in the desert heat, the sealed basket on the water's edge, the cloak spread over a shaking husband. All of it recorded, all of it honored, all of it remembered. Your life is being recorded too. Not for a book, not necessarily for the memory of other human beings, but by the one who sees everything. The private acts of courage, the quiet moments of trust, the prayers no one else hears, the patience no one else witnesses. All of it is seen. All of it matters. This is the deepest comfort I know. Not that everything will be easy, or that every story will have the ending we hope for, or that the pain will always be brief, but that nothing is wasted, that every moment of genuine turning toward Allah, however small, however private, however unglamorous, is received and honored and kept. You are not building in vain. Whatever you have been doing, in the quiet, the prayers at odd hours, the moments of remembrance in the middle of ordinary tasks, the small acts of patience and trust that no one has noticed it, is all being kept by the one who keeps everything. Rest in that tonight. You are not building in vain. Now let the stories move through you one last time, not as thoughts to analyze, but as presences to be felt. Maryam, the one who trusted when she could not explain, let her presence be with you tonight. Hajar, the one who ran until the water came, let her persistence be with you tonight. Asiya, the one who chose her soul over her palace, let her freedom be with you tonight. The mother of Musa, the one who made the basket and let go, let her surrender be with you tonight. Khadijah, the one who believed first, let her certainty be with you tonight. 5 presences, 5 kinds of strength, all of them moving through the same darkness you are in right now, centuries before you, trusting the same source. They did not face exactly what you face. Your circumstances are your own. Your story is its own story, with its own details and its own particular weight. But the source they turned to is the same source available to you. The mercy they drew from is the same mercy available to you. The light that sustained them is the same light available to you. You are not working with less than they had. You have the same access to the same infinite mercy. Use it. Turn toward it tonight, even if turning is all you can manage, even if the turning is just a breath, just a thought, just the quiet interior acknowledgement that you are not alone. That is enough. It has always been enough. And now, rest. Let your body be completely still. Let your mind grow quiet the way a pond grows quiet after the last ripple from a stone has reached the shore and dissipated. Let the silence be full rather than empty, full of presence, full of peace, full of the company of everyone who has ever rested in this same trust. You are in good company tonight. You have always been in good company. Breathe in slowly. Hold it for just a moment. And breathe out completely. Let go of everything that is not rest. And receive everything that is. This is the gift of this night. This is the gift of the stories of these women. Not instruction, not demand, not a list of things you must do to be worthy of rest. Simply the reminder that rest is available to you, that trust is available to you, that mercy is available to you. Right now, in this moment, in this darkness, Hasbi Allahu wa ni'mal wakil. Allah is sufficient for me, and He is the best disposer of affairs. He was sufficient for Maryam. He was sufficient for Hajar. He was sufficient for Asiya. He was sufficient for the mother of Musa. He was sufficient for Khadijah. And He is sufficient for you. Sleep now. Good night. And peace be upon you. There is a practice in Islamic tradition called muraqabah. It means watchfulness, awareness, the cultivation of a continuous, living sense that Allah is present not as an abstract idea, but as an immediate, felt reality. The great scholars described it as living in two worlds simultaneously, the outward world of actions and responsibilities and relationships, and the inward world of constant, quiet awareness that none of it is happening outside of the sight of Allah. The women of the Quran practiced this without naming it. Maryam practiced it in her room when the food appeared. She did not make a fuss. She did not call people to witness. She simply noted it and lived in its reality. Allah provides. This is what that looks like today. Hajar practiced it in the desert. Her question to Ibrahim, did Allah command this, was muraqabah. She was checking whether the thing in front of her was within the boundary of Allah's will. And once she knew that it was, she oriented herself entirely within that reality, not the harsh reality of the sun and the sand and the empty water skin. The deeper reality, Allah commanded this, therefore Allah is present in this, therefore this is workable. Asiya practiced it in the palace. In the middle of a life surrounded by wealth and power and a husband who claimed divinity, she maintained an interior awareness of what was actually real, not Pharaoh's power, not the gold and the servants and the throne, the presence of Allah, which she turned toward privately, completely, with the full weight of her soul. The mother of Musa practiced it at the riverbank. Her ability to let go of the basket was not possible without it. You can only release what you love most into the current of a river if, in that moment, you are more aware of Allah's presence and power than you are of the river's danger. Khadijah practiced it in the 15 years before the prophethood and the many years that followed. Every choice to give her wealth, every moment of support in the difficult early period, every instance of standing by her husband when standing by him was costly, all of it was possible because she was living in continuous awareness of something more real than social judgment or financial security or the approval of the people around her. Muraqabah. Watchfulness. This is something you can practice too, not through effort, not by trying to hold a concept in your mind while managing the demands of a busy life, but through exactly the kind of practice you are doing right now. Stillness, silence, allowing the noise of the day to settle, letting the mind grow quiet enough that something more fundamental can be felt. This is why these nights matter. Not just for sleep, although sleep is healing and necessary, and a gift, but because nights like this one, in which you have deliberately slowed down, deliberately listened, deliberately allowed stories of trust and faith to move through you, are building something in you. A capacity, a muscle, the ability to access, even in the middle of a noisy day, the quality of awareness that is available to you right now. The more you practice it in the quiet, the more available it becomes in the noise. This is the long game of spiritual cultivation, not dramatic transformation in a single moment, but the patient, cumulative building of a quality of attention that, over time, changes how you move through the world. Maryam did not arrive at her capacity for trust on the day the angel appeared. She had been building it for years, in the ordinary days, in the food appearing in her room, in the small, daily, unremarkable acts of prayer and devotion that prepared her for the unremarkable. Hajar did not arrive at her trust in the desert. It was already forged in the smaller difficulties that had preceded this one. The question she asked Ibrahim was not the question of a woman encountering faith for the first time. It was the question of a woman who had already learned to orient herself by it. You are building something too. Every night you choose stillness over noise. Every moment you choose to trust rather than spiral. Every small act of turning toward Allah rather than away from Him. It accumulates, it builds, it becomes, over time, the foundation on which you stand when the big moments come. And the big moments always come. They came for Maryam, they came for Hajar, they came for Asiya, they came for the mother of Musa, they came for Khadijah. They will come for you. And when they do, you will find that you are not meeting them unprepared, that the nights of practice nights like this one have built something in you that you did not know was being built. A steadiness, a groundedness, a capacity to ask, did Allah command this, and then orient yourself entirely within the answer. You are building that right now. Simply by being here, simply by choosing this over the noise, simply by letting the stories of these women move through you and leave something behind. Something that cannot be named exactly, but that you will feel tomorrow in a small way as you move through your day. A residue of this night. A faint memory of the quality of this silence. A slightly increased capacity to feel, even briefly, even in the middle of ordinary demands, the presence that Maryam and Hajar and Asiya and the mother of Musa and Khadijah felt. The presence that is available to you now. Feel it now. In the warmth around you, in the rhythm of your breathing, in the darkness behind your closed eyes. It is here. It has been here all along. You are simply too busy to notice. Now you notice. And noticing is everything. Let your breathing slow to the pace of deep sleep. Let your mind release its last few thoughts, the ones that have been circling, the ones that refuse to fully go. Let them drift away like leaves on the surface of water, not pushed, not pulled, simply released into the current. They will be there in the morning if you need them, or they will not. Either way, they do not belong in this moment. This moment belongs to rest. To the deep, renewing, sacred rest that Allah built into the nature of human beings. Every cell in your body knows how to do this. Your body has been waiting all day for this moment, the permission to stop, the permission to restore, the permission to be held rather than to hold. Give it that permission now. Rest, body. Rest, mind. Rest, heart. You have done enough today. You have listened tonight to the stories of women who faced far more than most of us will ever face. And in their stories, you have found something, a thread of continuity, a reminder of what is real, a sense of the company you are in. Carry that with you into sleep, and into the morning, and into the days that follow. These women walked this earth. They breathed this air. They felt fear and doubt and the weight of being human, and they trusted anyway. You can trust too. You already are. Simply by being here. Simply by breathing. Simply by letting the darkness hold you tonight instead of fighting it. Good night. Sleep deeply. And peace real, lasting, unshakable, peace be upon you. Now and always. Before this night fully closes, I want to give you something to carry into your dreams. An image. Picture a vast night sky, the kind you can only see far from city lights where the darkness is deep and the stars are countless, and the Milky Way is a visible river of light stretching from horizon to horizon. Now picture 5 stars, separate from the others, brighter, 5 points of light in that infinite darkness. These are the women of the Quran. Not as distant abstractions, not as historical figures in a book, but as points of light in the darkness, present, real, accessible. Maryam, patient, devoted, trusting, even when she could not explain. Hajar, active, running, refusing to stop moving while trusting that what she could not do would be done. Asiya, free, interior, choosing the soul over everything the world could offer. The mother of Musa, letting go, releasing, placing what she loved most in the hands of the one who loved it more. Khadijah, believing, first, before evidence, before community, before the story was anything other than a frightening beginning. 5 stars. In the darkness of this night, they are visible. Not because the night is not dark, but because they shine in the dark, because they are the kind of light that only becomes visible when the ordinary light of day has withdrawn. You are looking at them now. Let their light be the last thing you see before sleep takes you. 5 points of light, 5 presences, 5 reminders of what is possible for a human being who turns toward Allah. They are not above you. They are not beyond you. They are not separated from you by the impossibility of their circumstances. They are in the same darkness you are in, and they are shining. So are you. You may not feel it tonight. The night may feel too ordinary, too heavy, too full of the small or large difficulties of an ordinary human life. But the light is there. It is there in your willingness to be still, in your choice to listen, in the simple fact that you turned toward something true and beautiful tonight when you could have turned toward almost anything else. That is light. Small, perhaps, quiet, certainly, but real. And it is enough to see by. Navigate by it. Tomorrow, and the day after, and all the days that follow. Navigate by the small, quiet light that is available to you, the light that has been inside you since before you were born, the light that these women knew and lived by and passed down through their stories. It is yours. It has always been yours. Sleep now and let it restore itself in you. The way the body restores in sleep, the way the mind clears, the way the morning brings a freshness that the evening does not have something restored, something renewed, something given back. Your light will be brighter in the morning. Trust that. And sleep. In the name of Allah, who holds the stars in their courses. In the name of Allah, who guided a basket against the current of the Nile. In the name of Allah, who sent water from beneath the feet of an infant in the desert. In the name of Allah, who showed paradise to a woman in the middle of her worst moment. In the name of Allah, who gave a voice to a newborn child and protected his mother's honor. In the name of Allah, who strengthened the heart of the first believer through 15 years of love and witness. In his name, which is the name of all mercy and all compassion. Sleep, and peace be upon you.